Longhorn haters can continue saying whatever they want about John Mateer, but people that evaluate for a living for the NFL are really, really liking John Mateer. Let's talk about it. Good morning, and welcome back to Rise and Shine College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Welcome into the show, everybody. KJ Goated, Jake S., Brian Sandlin. Make sure you folks have wiped your feet when you get in here. Appreciate everybody joining us on this late Rise and Shine edition. Had some stuff I had to get done this morning before the show so I could make sure I got it done. So thanks to everybody for sticking by, and we'll kind of get into this stuff as we get some more folks in here. Don't want to have some of the people that I know will be in here miss it. Thanks for coming in, though. Let's see. Morning, Jason. Hey, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate all you guys coming in. Sugoi. What's up? Yeah. Let me talk a little bit about that. Let me think about what we're going to talk about with that. But, yeah, listen. Lots of stuff going on. It's quarterback time right now. And obviously, as you saw with the thumbnail and the description and everything like that, we're going to talk about John Mateer. I know we've talked a lot about him in terms of expectations from this fan base, from a lot of prognosticators around the country, as well as, the haters that are out there from Texas and places like that like to say, oh, that was against Mountain West competition and they played Wyoming and didn't win and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it is what it is. Now, what I will say is he perfect? No, he's not. But Todd McShay, Brooks Austin, the film guy, they like him. He's a dude. I've heard he's a dude and one of the toughest MFers I've ever seen on the field. There's some things that he does that had them even comparing him to the likes of Kyler Murray, Baker, Johnny Manziel, magical guys, as Todd McShay would say, when they were in college. We're talking, and, two of those three are actually still in the NFL starting right now. Now, the haters are going to hate, and there's no two ways around it, and let them hate as far as I'm concerned. The more people that actually continue to sleep on Oklahoma, the better it's going to feel if they end up doing what we think that they might. I'm good with all that. To me, I think that the situation, and it's kind of the same thing that I think we've all kind of talked about this. All the creators at OU, that cover OU, have kind of said the same thing, that I think one of the biggest positives about John Mateer, it's not just that, he had all those numbers that he put up last year. It's not just that, he's familiar with the system. It's that he's running the same system with the same coaches in his ear. It's exactly what they ran last year. There's nothing he doesn't know about it. Now going into year 3 in the system, he had a year behind watching Cam Ward run it. He had a year where he got to start, and you saw him progress. If you watched film, as I've told you guys all throughout, if you watch the film on John Mateer coming into this year or whatever, and I've seen every game pretty much that he played. Look, he went from, they won some games early in the season, like against Washington, against Texas Tech, where, he wasn't necessarily at his best all the time. But what you saw was he progressed as the year went along. Now, of course, the Wyoming game, there's some context to that we're not going to get into all that. I'm not going to go that deep in the weeds right now. Maybe we'll break it down a little more later. I want to go into what you saw really throughout the year, though. He did progress, and this is one of the things that you saw from and you heard from these guys that really liked they really liked him. There's some things and guys like this that break down film and draft guys like McShay. The film guy, he's a college football dude. He's, he's going to break it down and to what it's going to be for this offense, how it's going to work out in the SEC, especially he's an SEC guy. And they both like him, but they're also gonna give you the warts and everything else that goes with it. I have no problem with that. I think there's not a single quarterback in the country, including Arch Manning, the Golden Arch himself, or anybody, Nussmeier, anybody that doesn't have some things that they're going to have to be better at throughout the year if you want to go to the heights that you're hoping to go to, especially at OU. It kind of is what it is. That being said, yeah, there's something that I want to talk. I love it that you say this too right here. We'll get into this a little bit. I'm going to start this because I want to come back to this. What's up, Duke? Good to see you, my guy. Brandon Snake, Satterfield. What's up, my guy? Good to see you. Hayden finishing his FSU visit. Was that the other quarterback? Is that who you're talking about? It only ended up being, Jaden. You're saying Jaden, aren't you? I think it's ending today. It's ending today. I actually did. I've talked a little bit to him. I don't really know what's happening. We'll go ahead and talk about this a little bit now. I don't know where that is. From what I'm hearing, there's a couple of things that I want to keep everybody keeping your mind on. Number one, you're not getting both of them. Let's not go there. All right. I know you're going to continue hearing that. I know you've heard it from Brandon Drum. I know you've heard it from Parker. You know what I think about that. You've heard it from Jay even. You know what I think about that. I'm just going to let you know that that's not going to happen. But here's the deal. That doesn't mean necessarily that there's no chance here, right? The visit is going well. They love Jaden. They love Jaden at FSU. And when you look at, I know a lot of people, I'm not the biggest Gus Malzahn guy. But what I do know is this. He tends to get the best out of his quarterbacks, however talented they may or may not be. He gets as much out of them as he can. One of the things that Jaron sent me this morning, his pops, was some of the accolades that Gus Malzahn has with his quarterbacks. I didn't know all of them, but none of them really surprised me. And when it comes to like the Cam Ward stuff, I think Norman could have coached Cam Norman when he came into Auburn and got the same shit out of him. You didn't have to do much with him. That's plug and play. You know what I mean? Now, the guy that went number 2 in the draft the very next year, I don't know who the hell he is. I don't remember him. But neither here nor there, he's not still around. So, obviously, there's some things that he gets and that he gets a lot out of. If you take a look at like John Rice Plumlee, he was a receiver. They turned him into a quarterback because, he was dynamic enough as an athlete and could throw it well enough that he felt like he could help them win. It's particularly they had lost Dylan Gabriel. That's kind of where they were headed at that point. When they lost Dylan is when he was coming in. He's still trying to work it into it. But he's been able to get a couple of good quarterbacks that has kind of done well. Here's the thing. I don't know what's going to end up happening here because as much people are saying that it's a silent commit and all this stuff to Oklahoma, I'm not understanding or really buying unless there's one reason I would buy that he would wait till after Elite 11 to make his choice. And that's if he's trying to drive up the price a little bit, which I don't necessarily blame him if that's the case. But if he really is locked into OU, then why don't you just commit and try to push the issue? I mean, you don't have to stick with it. You still got your whole damn senior season. Why wouldn't you lock in and see what happens? With Jaden O'Neal once you commit it. Because again, you're not getting them both. You're not getting them both. Okay. So that makes me wonder, is he really so much going to Oklahoma? I don't think so. And I'm hearing otherwise. I'm hearing otherwise too. Now you did hear Wilt Fong. He didn't put in a crystal ball though, but he feels like LSU may think he's going to OU as well. But I've heard that they've offered a large amount of money at LSU that I don't know. Judging by the way Jim Nagy has been pretty purse string tight a little bit with some of these guys, I'm not sure that he would match that for a guy that's probably 2 years out from playing after this season, right? I don't see it. It's kind of tough. But maybe. I mean, I'm not. It's not like they can't afford it. I'm just saying the number I'm hearing seems a little high. So that could be a sticking point as well. Again, none of this stuff is anything that I know. This is me reading tea leaves. I just want to make that understood. Me reading tea leaves about Bo. I just tend to wonder why it is you haven't heard anything definitive. When Wilt Fong puts in his crystal ball, the Fong bomb, that's when you know it's pretty locked in, right? He's 97% or something like that career. So I wonder, right? Someone offered the Vanderbilt quarterback 4.5. Yeah, okay. I mean, Diego, and it's not like they ain't got money at Vandy. Let me tell you. Oh, there's haters gonna. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's see. Love the way he plays, while he can throw it and run it. What's not to love? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we'll get back into the mature stuff. But I just want to say that, look, I don't know what's going to happen yet. So just so you know, and if somebody else tells you they do know, they're bullshitting you. Okay, they don't know. They don't know because I think that here's my feeling on it. I think that Jaden still wants to go to Oklahoma. But I don't think, and it's not that and here's the other thing. Hey, he's not afraid at all to compete for the job if it was an actual competition. But if you favor one quarterback over the other as Ben Arbuckle, and Jaden knows that it's not him, is it a real competition? Probably not. And again, these things just don't happen. You don't get two blue chip dudes. You just don't. So that's and I will just tell you that I know 100% that if Bo is coming to Oklahoma, if he's locked in and coming to OU, then you're not getting Jaden. Okay, you're not getting him. I wonder if the reason that Bo hasn't committed is because he's not positive that Jaden's going to decommit. Because he hasn't. He hasn't. So people that are going to try to tell you that they know would just be they're speculating, and we know that there's guys that people we talk about and the insiders and I'm talking insiders as a whole, not just the OU insiders. I'm not just busting their balls. They get it wrong a lot as a whole. They don't always get it right. So let's wait and see. It's coming up soon because it has to. Yeah, the Elite 11 gets over with today. So if that's really when he's going to do it, then we'll see, right? What I do know is that on the 20th, it's 2 days away, Jaden O'Neal will be on his OV to Oklahoma. So that's going to happen. He'll be here all weekend doing that. Coming off an OV to Florida State. I think that they're, Florida State, whatever they had a good number before that I know of. I haven't heard whether they've upped it or anything not, but I would just say that I would guess that yesterday's price isn't today's price if you're Jaden O'Neal, and then because the leverage is in the quarterback's pockets, guaranteed, both of them. They've got all the leverage here. No matter what anybody tells you. And anybody who's also trying to say, I want to preface all this other stuff too. The Deloitte stuff that we've been talking about, the stuff with the NIL and all that other shit. These schools are also now trying to act as if they have to be that they're already beholden to that. First of all, Congress hadn't said that they have to do that shit. Secondly, it may be unlawful to do it anyway. And third, that shit don't go into effect till July 1, which is why Texas Tech announced that they got $55 million in their athletic program. We keep hearing that it's 45 or so for Texas. I don't care what Texas fans are saying. I believe that shit wholeheartedly. It doesn't even, I mean, that's not even, it wouldn't blink an eye. I wouldn't blink an eye if it was 70, because it could be. See all them damn Lambos out there at DKR the other day? I did. So whatever the rules are, there are going to be, and again, I would tell you that the Deloitte shit is going to get thrown on. The second that they say no to somebody's NIL deal, that it's going back to court. Supposedly, the whole House settlement was done so that you can get protection against the House, against more of these lawsuits, and yet they're walking right into a buzzsaw of litigation by trying to pull that bullshit. It just doesn't, the two don't add up, not whenever we've watched the court cases be what they are since 2018, 2019, right? Anytime that they've been challenged on anything, the NCAA, when it comes to NIL and portal and everything else, every court that they've been in have been like, you're out of your mind, fuck off, no way. With Nico and the Tennessee deal, that took a week. With Pavia, when he sued the NCAA to get another year of eligibility, it took less than a week. They shut it all down. Why now should we believe that's going to, and the other thing is, maybe they can do it. Maybe there's nothing they can do about it legally, but you know what they can do? They can walk out. The entirety of college football could walk out. And the second that they say that they're going to start really holding to these NIL things as part of the rev share, because they're two separate things, by the way, but they want to make them one. All if college football if the players themselves wanted to make sure that they walk out 10 minutes later, that shit is out the door. Because without those guys, there is no college football. Period. End of story. That's it. So whatever you hear over the next little bit of time about, don't let people that are speaking in definitives. I'm speaking definitively that you're not going to get two, and that I don't believe, and this is my belief. And I mean, because first off, it's un-American. It doesn't fit any other laws that you have in this country as it comes to, how you can, you're worth, I mean, RJ Young said it, you're worth whatever in the hell somebody's willing to pay you. And it's completely un-American to tell somebody that they can't make X amount of money. That is a communist way to go about it. Completely. And for all you Republicans out there, it's the Republicans that want to do it. So get on them. If you know your congressman, get on their asses and tell them, fuck you. You're not doing that. Just so you know. Anyway, that's enough of that. Now, let me see where we're at. It is frustrating. Why is it taking so long? Yeah, listen. They both have every right to do whatever they want. He's focused on it. Stephen G, I get what you're saying, but Elite 11 don't do shit. They're not paying you to win Elite 11. Will Conroy was scheduled to UNC and he's scheduled for the barbecue, or was scheduled for the barbecue. No politics. I'm not talking politics. I'm just telling you that from what I'm reading and stuff, if there's a side that's on the side, and this makes plenty of sense if you know unions at all. Pretty much every union is run by Democrats. So just so you know. But they believe that there should be collective bargaining. And I'm going to tell you that that's where I'm at on it. That until I said this to Lisa Rawls in one of my comments earlier. She made the comment, and I like Lisa, and I think she knows I get it. And I get anybody who feels like there's got to be some quote guardrails, some kind of got to have some sort of structure that that it's not just wild wild west. Well, to do that, if you really ever want to have meaningful change and meaningful rules and laws to this game again, the way to do that is to have everybody involved in it have a say. And the only ones that don't have a say are the athletes. They've never had a say. They haven't made a single rule one damn time. They have no input. And they're trying to continue to have them have no input. And that to me is completely un-American. And if you really, I mean, here's what I said to her in there. I'll tell you what, we're talking about all these attorneys and all this money. You know how much money it's costing to litigate all this shit? Shit tons. The attorneys, when the attorneys get involved, you guys talk about Congress getting involved. When the attorneys get involved, now it's getting expensive. But you want to talk Congress? How about all these lobbyists that are working for the NCAA and these schools? You think that's free? No. So you got to grease the pockets of all these congressmen that are going to pass these unlawful laws that are going to end up getting shot down at some point, in my opinion. So rather than doing that, why wouldn't you let them have a say in it and negotiate with them in good faith on what you want the rules to be, so that you know for damn sure it doesn't end up in court because it got negotiated by two parties, by both sides of it, in the best interest of both sides. That's what collective bargaining is. You do that, you don't have to pay lawyer fees because it ain't in court. Think about it. You're wanting to save yourself, and I know that's what it is. They're greedy. They want to keep as much money as they can. Okay. Keep the money that you would have had to put in attorney's fees and lobby fees. And let these athletes have some say in the shit. I'm off my soapbox. All right. Diabell earns On3 MVP on day one. Okay. Yeah, Diabell. What am I so pissed about? I'm pissed about the NCAA. I hate all this shit. Y'all want to know what I hate? I don't love the transfer portal, but what I hate is that the idea of that it's a one-sided thing and that the players are the ones that are always being greedy and all that, because that's how it gets framed all the time. I hate that. I hate that after decades of watching them do this, and the players are the ones that get burned, really burned, whenever the bagman gets caught, right? The players are the ones that get really burned. And now they start getting money, and they're trying to they don't want to go back and make it right. They want to go back to how it was and have the power. I don't like that either. And I think that, again, look, I love the name on the front of the jersey as much as the rest of you. I promise I do. But it takes the names on the back for the name on the front to be relevant. Just do the right thing, man. Just do the right thing. And that's one thing I know, having covered college athletics for the better part of 20 years. One thing I know is that it's never been about doing the right thing. You can call it cheating and all that. Man, they've always needed to get paid. And now that they want to put toothpaste back in the tube, and like these trying to hijack the system is just, it's bullshit. It's just bullshit. I'm not that mad. I'm passionate about it, and I believe in this shit. And I'm telling you, if these kids are, now they're trying to, and I know for sure that they're trying to lowball these kids right now because of the threat of Deloitte, right, of the clearinghouse. When really, in reality, we all know, if you have paid any attention whatsoever, you know that none of that shit goes into effect until July 1. How do we really know? Well, the day that they announced that the settlement was agreed upon, that the judge passed it, was the day that they announced that Nyjah Kennedy was getting another meal at Texas Tech. They've also spent money to get the 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7 players in the transfer portal After OU got the number one, and then they got the 1, 2, 3, 5, and whatever in recruiting regularly. This shit costs money. It shit costs money. And to keep your players, it costs money too. None of that, there ain't no way that that's all going to fit into that little $20.5 million. And you don't have to fit into it until after July 1. And they can get, and the way that most of them are doing it, they're getting very creative, signing bonuses, things like that, like they do in the NFL. Don't let them screw you over, players. Don't let them screw you over. Get your money, because it may be a while before it gets all straightened out. Once it gets to court, sometimes it can take a while. I would tell you that it hadn't taken very long when it comes to these lawsuits so far. So I would think that it'd be straightened out by the first part of next year. Some of these things aren't going to fly. They're just not going to fly. All right. All righty. Let's move on. Let me go back through some of this. Hello, Kimberly K. D. What's up, D? Good to see you. Goated. Sugoi, appreciate you. I appreciate all this stuff. Whoever meets Jaden is going to love him. That's for sure. Give us one more chance. Bentley looks great. I'm being selfish about Jaden. Now, listen. The more you look, I mean, this is just reality. There's no say. I believe that Jaden is, when it comes to arm strength and those intangibles, the things that he can do, I don't think it's particularly close to that. That doesn't mean that I don't think that Bo Bentley is a fantastic quarterback. He is. He looks really good. He can run the ball. He can throw. He can make throws. He's a good throw. He's a good passer. Athletically speaking, it's tough whenever Jaden's 6'5". 6'4", 6'5". Big arm, big runner too. You know, it may not look as fast because he's a bigger kid. You know, he's got more weight on him too. But that's a good thing. You can't teach that. You can't teach size. You can't. So the abilities that are there, I do favor Jaden O'Neal, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Bo Bentley ain't damn good, because he is. He is. In the end, I just wish that it hadn't gotten to this point. I really do. I think it sucks. I think it sucks that you could end up losing both of them because of it. Because I don't believe that if Bo Bentley really wants to come to Oklahoma, I think he would already be committed to OU, unless he's concerned that Jaden's not going to decommit. You know? That's just what it is. So my thing is, it just is what it is. Any word on how, though? It's still going. So this is the last day of it, Truoki. It's still going on. It's going well. It's going well, from what I understand. But I get the idea that it's making Oklahoma a bit nervous. And I don't think Oklahoma would be that nervous if it wasn't for maybe that. Why would they be nervous if they really think that Bo Bentley's coming? And I think they're nervous. In fact, I know they are. So that's a concern that is very real and should be very real. Because let's just say they had already burned it with, I don't think they've burned the bridge completely with Jaden O'Neal and his family. I think they're in Oklahoma for a reason. They want to be there. I think it's going to take some work to relock him in if Bo's not coming, though. Right? I think they should both be. I don't think that they hate. I don't think either one of them hate holding cards there, Goated. I would agree with that. Both 6th after day 1. Yeah. See, and that's the thing. I mean, there's like Diabell. I like Diabell. I don't think he's got the same arm talent that Jaden has. I don't think anybody in this class really has the arm talent. I think that he's dropped in the rankings because he's been committed for so long, number one, and the way that it played out in their season at that school he was at last year, where that whole league forfeited a ton of games. Now, he still had 3,000 plus yards and 30 touchdowns. So it's not like it completely affected him, but they played like 6 games or something total, I think, to where that he made stats in. To still get 3,000 yards in 6 games should tell you something, but you can spin these things any way you want to whenever a lot of it's unofficial and I mean rumors don't take much. I mean, just look at normal everyday news coverage and what of it do you believe? I mean, whether no matter what side you might be on politically, can you believe the media? I don't believe the media. I've been in the media and I don't believe the media at all. So it's easy to spin a narrative and to make and I mean, and a lot of those things happen in recruiting because of there's a lot of paychecks that depend on where your recruiting class ranks. A lot of them do. It is what it is. But yeah, Derek, you're right. I agree with you 100% on that. 100. Scott Walker was the biggest after the biggest bag, I think. I'm not going to say that. You could be right, but I'm not going to say I would tell you what I've been guys what I've been telling you is what they've not fully committed to either one of them. Even though I would say that you could tell that Arbuckle is definitely more committed to Bo because it's his guy, right? But they haven't fully. If he was fully committed to him, they would have cut Jaden loose too. You know what I'm saying? So that part of it is what I think that there's a concern there. I don't think that first off, just like Jaden isn't going to. Well, it's not just like it. I think that first off, this just you don't see two quarterbacks that are at an elite level that are going to go to the same school from the same year. It just doesn't happen. I know what happened with Hawkins and what's his name, but who's already gone. That was kind of a waste of money, by the way. But I also think there was a bigger difference. I think there was a big gap there, right? That's just my feelings. But BV Bates and Jay are in touch with Jaden, as Jason said, right? BV Bates and Jay, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, BV, yeah, well, they've all been in touch with him at some point, right? Arbuckle, BV, but who was at the when they did the home visit? It was BV, Emmett Jones, Jackson, not Jackson, Joe John, and then Bates. They're coming as we speak. I mean, they're happening all the time. What's up, Mars Jones? Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying, Goldie. That's where and look, I don't even necessarily, I mean, look, I understand that you try to hedge your bets and do some of that kind of stuff. And the other part I'll say is that I think that Ben Arbuckle, this is new to him to recruit at this level, first off. I think there was probably a little concern, no matter how unwarranted it may have been, that if Jaden was Seth's guy, that maybe that's, not going to, he wants his guy, whatever the thing is, I don't know. But it's definitely been handled poorly. But you have to put just as much of that on Coach Venables as you put on anybody else because Coach Venables, it's his program. And I mean, to be fair to Coach V, though, first of all, and a friend of mine told me this last night, and I'm glad they did. You got to remember, Coach V's been in New York a lot this summer. Taking care of Julie. There's stuff going on outside of the program. And you better be able to trust your recruiting staff, your coaches, your GM and his staff to handle some of this stuff that, he doesn't, I mean, and they can't really go and visit or anything like that anyway head coaches, they only get to do that like once, I think. So it is kind of what it is. But anyway. All right. I don't know as far as Dylan, I'm not sure. I would think, from everything we've heard, that when Bentley's done with the Elite 11, he was going to make a decision. I'll tell you this. If it's past July the 1st, I mean, if they better make that decision and get their money before July 1st, because you don't know what's going to happen after that. It won't be long. It won't be long. There's 30 days. You got 12 days till the 30th. I would tell you no later than that, because they're going to try to push this Deloitte stuff through. That's clear. How long it lasts, it shouldn't be very long, and there's ways that it could definitely not be very long. But if it does go through, then it could hang up some of their money and mess up a lot of stuff. I know one thing, they can be creative with the shit beforehand. Everybody else is. And if you're Oklahoma and you're not doing that, then you're not doing enough. So, all right. But I'm kind of with you on that too. All right. Now, is Nagy to blame? I don't think so necessarily. I think that Nagy came in late on a lot of it, and so he was doing the best he could to try to keep it, let these guys do it and handle it, right? He was still working on getting his staff together. I think he's involved in it a bit now, a bit. I don't know to what extent. I'm not going to tell you that I do know, because I don't. And I don't want to speculate on it. So when it comes to that stuff, it is what it is. All right. It is what it is. Let's move on from that. And hey, Bishop, I'm only going to be in here for a little bit, because I came late and I've got more stuff to do. So I did want to get in here and talk about this. Let's talk about McShay and Brooks Austin, the film guy, and what they think about John Mateer. I liked so I don't know how many of you guys have seen the short. For whatever reason, it's not registering as well on YouTube. The one that I did about who's under the most pressure. Probably most of you guys have seen it, I think. But if you haven't, it's a minute long, so check it out. On TikTok, though, it's getting a lot of play, and it pissed off a lot of Longhorn fans. Shocker there. So essentially, all that stuff about who's under the most pressure, and I'll stand by it again and tell you again, Texas is under much more pressure than Oklahoma is. Brent Venables may be under more pressure than everybody, but you're not losing your job if you're a player, And I'm going to tell you again, I don't know how much real pressure Brent Venables is under. I think that there's a certain number of people that would prefer to fire him under 8 wins. And I think they get 8 wins. And I think they go past that. I think the 8 is the bottom. But unless I believe this with everything, with what they will owe him at the end of the year, it's too much. And you owe the staff too much, and you've invested way too much in that roster that they've built to watch it walk out the door, like what you saw when Lincoln left. Make no mistake, these guys are committed to Brent Venables. They want to win for Brent Venables. So my feeling is that that's insanity to think that it's as dire as, and for all intents and purposes, if I really had to give you, when do I think they're going to go for a national championship? Do I think that they could have a special season now? Yeah. And compete for one? Sure. Compete for the SEC? Absolutely. But I'll feel better about it next year. A year in. Somewhat, anyway. In any event, I don't think it's as dire as everybody. There's too much. There's other things involved. And context matters. Context matters. Saw what? Huh? Who's Jesse? Who the hell are we talking about? It ain't that clown JPC, is it? Rock him out of here, who it is. All right. If you don't like John Mateer, then fuck you, Ricky Bobby. One of my favorite parts of that movie is his commercials, no doubt. There's some new sound effects for the board, huh? I love that shit. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Heartland Sports. McShay. Okay. Todd McShay. Well, let's look at it this way. He graded 4 major components, right? And I know a lot of you guys have seen that stuff, so you know where I'm headed with this. 4 major components. He grades 1 to 5, 1 being the best, 5 being at the lowest end, right? Now, the worst he had him anywhere was on mental makeup and accuracy. And that was at like 3 to 3.5. So that's middle of the road, right? If you're at 1 is the best and 5 is the worst, then 3 is absolutely right in the middle. Okay. So it's not necessarily dinging him. It's that maybe he needs to get a little better, is the way I took it. Right. But let's just talk about some of the stuff he said. They love the release, and quickness, all that stuff, pocket mobility. They think he's elite in between 1 and 2. Right. He's elite. That's elite. I don't think they'd given that grade out to anybody else. Mental makeup, 3 to 3.5 at the most. And what you saw the Minch guy say, his skill set is a problem for the SEC. Now, wait a minute, though. All those geniuses in burnt orange are telling you he's going to suck. What do you mean? I saw something from him, and I saw it first yesterday, so I want to credit K. Chris. And he says, what did he say? Oh yeah, it was I love this shit. Busting chops. Probably get me in trouble though. John Mateer is a breathtaking prospect to study. Breathtaking. Comes off as a little weird. But it's a good thing. He's not saying he sucks by any stretch. So for accuracy. Okay. But what did he also say? If you were watching there, and this McShay and them said it as well, when you run the type of offense that they run at OU, and Levy ran it too, it's based on let's get out here and run a lot of plays. Let's you're going to waste some balls, you're going to be inaccurate on a few, right? If you remember Baker Mayfield, essentially he always completed a lot of passes, but it wasn't always the greatest completion percentage, right? And the same with Kyler, and I know it was the same with Johnny Manziel. Now, what they did very well was make plays under duress, and they got better as the pressure ratcheted up, right? Footwork, sure, okay. Yeah, that was a big takeaway for me too. I agree with you, Bryce. The weapons, the offensive line is better. I don't care what anybody says. I know that that's still the question that a lot of people nationally, I think that they forget who's in charge of the offensive line, and they're not looking deep enough into what's on the offensive line that isn't hurt like it was last year coming into the season. And again, I would tell you, guys like Isaiah are going to be right at the top of that list. EPL may jump over the guy in front of him, or that was in front of him. In fact, I think he already has. I think you've got a rotation there that, you know how big Bill is. He rotates those guys, and you have to. They're big. Again, I think that they're going to be good. The fact that you have the running back room and what they like to do running the ball, I think that if you've the things that I've always said, that Lincoln kind of revolutionized the air raid in certain ways, and it was certainly as a downhill running team, right? The things you saw them do with Ramondre, the things you saw them do with, Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon, that was obviously, of course, Stoops saying we've got Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon run the fucking football, right? He figured it out, and it turned into very explosive for OU, which was why you're in. It made those amazing receivers that were also here at that time get even better because of the fact that you can't load the box and stop the run. And if you do, you're going to get hurt in the secondary, or you're not going to have a hat on a hat for sure. Somebody's going to be uncovered. Okay. And with those amazing offensive lines, you had a Joe Moore Award-winning line at that one time in there. Come on. Rodney Anderson, correct. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. Yeah, from the year material, because it gets there and it's out is what he was talking about. And that dude was good. That low Frisbee style ear level throw that is his main thing. Toll Farley, if you're the guy that's in my TikTok mentions, run along, okay? Because you cherry pick all that bullshit about any little thing that they don't grade him to be 100% on right now, and they are still developmental guys. And do you want to talk about the things that they said about Arch that isn't perfect? Because there are some things, and we will get into that at some point. I don't have enough time today. I'm just going to tell you, they like him a hell of a lot more than they don't. The little things that they can ding on it and say that just act like it's not that they act like, yeah, it could be a problem here, it could be a problem there. But like he said, with the completions and the percentage or whatever, that's happened with a lot of guys. It happened with Kyler. It happened with Baker. It happened with all of them. I mean, think about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was not that dude that was going to hit that intermediate pass between that 12 and 25 yards that has to be absolutely precise. What Lincoln did very well with Jalen was not put him in a position where he had to do that. I think that you're going to see the same thing out of Arbuckle this year, and especially if you're not, I mean, if there's a fix to be made and be some of that kind of shit, that's where Kevin Wilson comes in and is like, hey man, this is how we have to get around that stuff. No bullshit. Whatever, bro. That's not the only way he throws it anyway. Run along. Knucklehead. McShay said Mateer is the real deal on his podcast. He also said, toughest motherfucker I've seen in a long time or ever. I mean, he didn't really hold anything back. You realize, and here's the other thing, for all these people that want to talk a bunch of bullshit, right? There's certain things that he can't do. But you know what else he does very well? He rolls out of that pocket. He's not gonna throw it into the belly of a 6'5" defensive lineman. Dumb shit. He's not gonna do that. He runs and gets out of harm's way. Some of that stuff, are you gonna get away with it in the SEC? Maybe not. There's a few plays that you wouldn't. You're gonna probably have to know that there's some things that you can't do. And I would guess that the way that they break down film and knowing, I mean, how they're going to play defense and how they play defense at Oklahoma with some of those big 6'5", 6'6" defensive line dudes, same shit. So it's not like he's not learning as he goes. And he's talked about that. He talked about during the spring that it's not anything. It's not easy to do this. We win some, they win some. We win some, they win some. Bye-bye, dumb fuck. All right. I already did. Done. I won't call you a dummy if you're not a dummy. You know what I mean? He's going to complete passes. He's going to miss on some throws too. The thing is that if you expect them to be, here's the other thing. Do you expect, if you're a Texas fan, I would just ask you, do you expect that Arch Manning is going to be exactly the same as he was last year? Because if he is, then there's probably some problems. He wasn't perfect. When he got in against Georgia, what did he look like? Ass. He did. He didn't do well. And that was after they had pulled Quinn for not playing well either in the first game at DKR. That game wasn't that close. That game wasn't that close. So last year we were hearing the offense couldn't move the ball. What did we hear last week when we were talking to? What were we hearing last week when we were talking to Reggie? Reggie's dad, Reggie Jr., right? He was saying it, that these guys, he's the real deal because these guys know that they got to have their shit on and ready to rock and roll when they get out there. He was like, because you can end up, you're going to have a bad day. You can't have too many bad days out here and keep your job or keep your place in the rotation because there's too much talent on this defense. So even as talented as that defense is, as deep as it is, he was winning some. And he talked about that. I mean, you've heard a lot of people talk about it. I loved what Mateer said. He goes, man, you can't make a mistake with them. They'll take it the other way. There's certain balls you can't throw. They'll take it the other way. What Dumbass was just saying, that's what we're talking about. He's not just going to elevate the play of the offense. He's going to elevate the play of the defense too. And I think he's doing that already. Right? Here's the friend of mine that I was talking to about this last night. Something else that we were talking about. You need a guy like John Mateer to get, because you didn't have enough swag on offense last year, right? Dylan had swag. We know Baker and even Kyler had swag. It was more quiet swag though. Baker was in your face swaggy, dripping it, right? I would say guys like, obviously Caleb Williams did, but then Jalen Hurts. The guy just won a Super Bowl. It's more athleticism than being, pounding on that chest, but he can hurt you. And so, but that confidence that instills in your teammates when you go out there and, you take off when the play gets busted down and you find a way to make a play out of it, right? Now, are you going to always get away with some of these from some of these guys on like some of the stuff they were talking about that New Mexico game? The guy broke through the line. He stiff-armed him with his offhand, got away from him. You going to get away from a 350-pound guy? Probably not, right? Not with the offhand stiff arm. Probably not. But you're going to have some plays that just don't work out. Also, I don't think that offensive lineman, he said, the film guy said that guy wouldn't be in the SEC either. That offensive lineman, I don't think he's very good. So it is what it is. In the end, that's where you start looking at it. This guy's going to be really good. The other thing, who's been saying this? The last time that we've talked to, like Boganowski said it. I've heard Marcus say it quite a bit. Coach Ricks was saying it on his show over the weekend. All these other guys that have come from FCS or Group of Five or whatever that have come into the SEC as quarterbacks, Diego Pavia, had the same kind of season, either equal or better stats when they got to the SEC. Why can't it be the same? Is he a perfect quarterback? No. Neither is Arch Manning. Neither is Garrett Nussmeier. But he's got confidence in himself and confidence in this offense and knowledge of the offense that allows them to, I think it allows him to be really good. And there's a line that you have to look. If you expect him to never have a turnover, you probably won't have very many touchdowns either. There's a fine line there. You got to be willing to fit a couple of balls. That's another thing that they graded him very highly on. The ability to fit a ball into a tight window. The guy with McShay was talking about that he was like, look, he's fitting balls in that are the sideline throws that not everybody can make those, and he makes it looking a lot easier than it actually is, right? These are the right, and you're hearing it about the right stuff. So you can cherry pick the other bullshit if you want to, and that's all good. And I'm not telling you that he's perfect and that that he's winning the Heisman or any of that shit. I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the country right now. A lot of them. This quarterback class to me is considerably better than last year's quarterback class if they all come out. But even if just like half of them come out, it's still going to be better. You're going to lose some of them this year for sure. I think he's at minimum number 2. I've got him number 2 in my power rankings for quarterbacks in the class in the SEC. And here's the thing. Do I think that Arch Manning is going to be really good? I do think Arch Manning is going to be really good. Do I think that he's going to go through the entire season and make every throw and never make a mistake and, all of a sudden that he's Peyton Manning when he shows up? No, I don't. And by the way, Peyton Manning's first year wasn't beautiful and easy, and he sat for a couple years. You have to acclimate. You have to acclimate, no matter who you are. If you've watched the film of John Mateer, he acclimated on the go last year. He looked a ton better as far as decision making was concerned. And sometimes what? Why was his stats not as gaudy and sometimes towards the end of the season? First off, they weren't as healthy as they were at the start of the season at the end, number one. Number two, I think that if you're going to eat some balls and you're going to throw some away and stuff like that, which you want by that time of the year, then you have to do that. Is he still in there? He's a jackass, is what he is. You have to kind of do it, Matt Carroll, kind of like Mateer and let old piss to 21. Yeah, Matt Carroll and 21 wins in 2 years. Okay. Yeah. Look, all I'm going to say is that these guys are definitely, look, are we going to believe a bunch of dumb shits that don't have any reason? They're just hating on Mateer because they're hating on Mateer? Or are we going to believe guys that get paid to evaluate and they evaluate and give their recommendations to every team in the NFL? They use it. There's a reason why Todd McShay doesn't need ESPN. The NFL pays him very well, handsomely, to put together his drafts and stuff. They don't do that with Mel Kiper. They do it with McShay and some other guys. Shit is real. There's a couple of guys. Actually, there's a couple of guys like that in college football as well, that they didn't really make it as head coaches and stuff like that, but they've done a hell of a job. True. Exactly. And that's where I'm saying, look, I think that there's a floor and a ceiling, right? There's a floor and a ceiling for everybody, right? If he goes out and has an improved season over last year, which again consists of 4,000 total yards and 44 touchdowns. If you can improve on that, the sky's the limit with this defense. But here's the other thing that I would tell you. Pate said something on his show when I was coming back from my mom's in Artesia yesterday. Pate said something on his show about they were talking about Notre Dame, as a matter of fact. And there's some parallels that I think you could, me and Coach have talked about the parallels that you can draw between Notre Dame and Oklahoma. I also think that Florida, the parallels are similar there also, right? Defense, led by defense, got a really good offense. They're going to run the ball well. They've got good receivers. They got a quarterback that could be ungodly, right? If DJ Lagway's healthy, things could be sky's the limit for Florida as well, right? Not everybody's going to have it go their way, but there's teams. It's not just Texas that's good, okay? It's not just Texas. So Yeah, shout out to Chris Mason for dropping um the day one rankings for Elite 11. Diabell's in the lead. Kason Henderson from Houston, number 2. Landon Duckworth, number 3. Faison Brandon, that's the Tennessee commit, is at number 4. Derek Zammit at number 5. Bentley at 6. Jonas Williams at 7. Matt Ponatowski, 8. Jet Thamala, 9. Bryson Beaver, number 10. And Travis Burgess, number 11. Somebody was telling me earlier that is Bryson Beaver now, are they making a move towards him, possibly? Oh, I got something cool. I got to show this. Thanks, coach. This is awesome. I love it. Oh, man. That's too good. Let me see. I'm going to have to change what it is here to get it in there, but it'll take a second. This is Coach's grandson, Eric. Not Eric, Michael. Eric is his son. Michael at Texas Tech camp. Coach probably read the riot act for all the shit he said about him, too. Oh, Lord, this is too damn funny. Wrong one. All right. Let's see. Pushing him back. Look at him pushing back. This is a Texas Tech actual player putting a pop on his ass. Yeah, but they're going to go win the national championship. Come on, man. As Neilio would say, come on, man. That's too damn funny. Yeah, we ended up being late, my guy. We ended up being late. You now with the 11th rated class per talent average on Rivals. Okay, cool. Getting ready to hit the road towards San Antonio for AU ball. Got hoop tournament going on this weekend. Benji, daughter. Tar said, "Good luck, y'all go win. Have fun." He was what? Oh, that's Coach's grandson now. Don't be talking shit. He was getting pushed back. Look at this. Look at it. Come on, man. Look at that shit. He's scratching his head. He's 10, by the way. 10. That's too fucking good. Oh, man. They're still half-assed, I think. It's freaking Texas Tech for shit's sake. All right. Benji, we won't tell you about every Hall of Fame pod, and then we talk about you behind your back. Yeah, that's true. That's how we roll. Getting bodied. Can we sipping micheladas this evening through Sunday? There you go. Yep. Squirt bottles always do well for that shit, right? 10 years old, bro. He's a monster. He's a big ass kid. He likes to eat. I like Mike's my dude, man. Yeah, but things, and he sent me a video from earlier where they were running routes and shit. And he's got real soft hands. He plays basketball. He plays everything. He's pretty good at all of it. He's way big, but he's pretty soft hands and just kind of he's pretty good at all that shit. It's pretty funny. Let's see. Good for Yeah, I don't worry about Oklahoma recruiting either. And I certainly is, especially now, right? T Boomer. What up, T Boomer? My guy. What's up, Coach Ricks? What up with you? Okay. All right. Anyway, going back to just kind of what they were saying. Um, let's talk about, let's see. You know, again, the way that they ranked it, nothing was worse than like middle of the road as far as McShay and those guys were concerned. And then the only thing that the film guy, he didn't dog him at all. He said he loved it, and if he had questions, he would have questioned a couple of things from Arbuckle, like what are your reads and why would you? He'd love to have had him sitting there to explain some of that stuff of what he's looking at in a certain thing, right? But he didn't really. They're gonna look. But he also said that he started saying something about his slot angle. He goes, but I'm not one of those guys that you get it there how you get it there, and I would never try to change somebody's throwing motion. And a lot of people prescribe to that too. You start messing with somebody's motion that's worked for them, and you start fucking with their accuracy, and they're thinking about it instead of making plays instinctively. If they can rip it, they can rip it. I go back to, I think that I'm gonna tell you, I believe that the Tennessee Titans fucked up when they got Vince Young and started trying to mess with his delivery. Because he started overthinking, right? And Vince Young wasn't a winner because he was a 75, a 60 or 70% completion guy. He was a winner because you can't fuck with that guy. He was a horse, a damn thoroughbred, secretariat. You know what I mean? That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. I had stopped having any kind of respect for Jeff Fisher when he started doing that shit. Fuck you doing? Let him be. Dude, I'm telling you, I think he would be right there. I think he would be right there. His arm talent is right up there with everybody's. Even at the very top. I think he could win it. He could win it. He would definitely be, in my opinion, in the top 2 or 3 for sure. And he didn't have a bad regional. He lit it up. Some of those things are kind of set up for the guy that's there, and there's definitely some. There's definitely some at those regional Elite 11 things. There, it's not just about performance because if you go look at his score, he lit it the fuck up. And the guy that apparently won that won it, I think it may have been Kayshawn Henderson. I don't think that he's like overly, certainly isn't a guy that hits for a ton of percentage either. So I don't buy it. And Kayshawn's a good player, but he's not a throw first guy either. He's not. O'Neal has a cannon. Yeah, dude, Vince was different, right? Vince was different. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think that he's continued to do the things that he needed to do. He's been with his new teammates at Mustang. He's focused on the season. They've been doing, and aside from that, they're kind of doing a soul mission type of deal there at Mustang. From what I understand, I think he's a big part of that. Getting acquainted with his new coaching staff, getting acquainted with his teammates. That I think that they've brought in some really good talent because of the fact that you've got a quarterback his caliber at Mustang, guys that you probably wouldn't have had otherwise. I guarantee you wouldn't have had otherwise. And if he doesn't end up coming to Oklahoma, you're going to lose more than likely. I would think you're going to lose that receiver too, because he came sight unseen because of Jaden. That was his reason for committing. So, no, you're not going to hear it until after Elite 11, which it ends today or tomorrow, I guess. It is what it is, you know? Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Well, he's been having and I think that, from what I'm talking to his pops and stuff, they're having a great trip at FSU. I think listen, do I think it's a great situation from our standpoint, from an Oklahoma fan standpoint? No, I don't. But I would tell you that both of these quarterbacks are in the catbird seat when it comes to leverage because there's everybody else is already committed pretty much. Now you can try to flip and stuff, but that's tough. That's a tough road to hoe, right? These guys, when you look at FSU, they've been committed to, and I not to say they're not flirting around with other quarterbacks too, because they're not sure what's going to happen with Jaden. He's stayed committed. He's still stayed committed, even though he's waiting to see what happens, right? But I'm going to tell you that they don't. I mean, I think that they're in a good position to negotiate for NIL. I think they're in a good position to negotiate for what's going to happen, both of them. And I think that that's the reason why you haven't seen. I think Bentley hasn't committed because you haven't seen Jaden decommit. And I don't think he wants that competition. He don't want that smoke. By the way, they did once, I think it was 2 summers ago, they were they had Jaden come in and play for a 7-on-7 team in Texas that Bo was the quarterback of until Jaden got there. And so he's seen it firsthand as a teammate. I don't think, again, nothing bad about him. I'm just saying, if it was going to be 1-to-1, it's a real competition down the middle, then I don't think you have a problem with doing it. But how would you believe that that's what it is if you're the O'Neills? You can't, right? Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't brought that up before, and I don't know why. I don't know why I haven't brought that up before. I knew that like way early. I don't know. Yeah, for sure. Um, I think that because there's already a lot of love for him, and I think if you look at even PFF, I think he's their number 5 coming into the season. But even from what I read on PFF about it, there was like easy to move up. If you figure that Arch Manning is going to stay a second year at Texas, which I think most people expect that that's the case. You look at Peyton. Peyton stayed. He would have been the number 1 pick the year before. You know, um, it it just feels like Arch is staying. So there's one guy that you're not going to have to worry about. I don't know that. Look, I know that they had PFF actually had Carson Beck is ahead. I don't think there's any. In what universe is he better? He didn't show any of that last year. I don't see it. That's just me. I don't see it. That doesn't mean he's not good. He's got skills, but yeah. Nussmeier, I can see that. I mean, look, I don't think he's perfect either, but I think he's going to be a damn sight better in year 2 as a starter than he was in year 1. Um, but he was rated to be. He would have went in the first round last year. I think he definitely would have been considered the second one after what happened with the Shedeur Sanders deal. I do. There ain't no way he wasn't better than DG, and as far as talent's concerned, upside. And his dad's the OC of the Saints. So there ain't no damn way. Yeah, Andrell's out of here. Arch is staying. I would guess so. I think that's what I've gotten. So why do you think? I mean, let's say if Oklahoma competes for the play, let's say they get to 9-3, he's going to have had a pretty good season. You'll probably expect that he's had a pretty damn good year, and that's a big improvement to go from 6 wins to 9. And it doesn't take much to be a big improvement on the production of even all those games that what he played in 9 games, 10 games. Jackson Arnold, and he didn't even have 2,000 yards. You know, more turnovers than touchdowns. You know, all said and done. So, would I rather have Mateer stay for 2 years? I would not. And here's the other thing, man. We don't know what's going to happen with Mateer, but I would tell you that I still believe, and I know not everybody agrees with this. I'm not worried about whatever happens in that. I believe that in case of emergency, Michael Hawkins is ready to go now. He'll be ready. I think that, and I said this already, what I was finishing saying, one of the things that I think me and my friend that were talking about it last night, we were saying, you know, he's going to bring that swagger back that, you know, and that confidence level. He's going to boost that confidence back to where it was on this offense for so long, right? I think he immediately did that. Plus, they've got other bad dudes, right? But I think that's what you need from him. I've changed my feelings about, you know, I'm not just going to sit here and tell you I think it should be Michael Hawkins. I think Michael Hawkins benefits from what goes on by watching him play. But if he's needed, I think he's ready to answer the call. I believe that. Absolutely a thoroughbred. Love that one. Yeah. If you think he returns if you get 9 or 10 this season, I don't know. I think if they go to the playoff, he's out for sure. I think if he get a first round grade, here's the thing that you got to be careful with. I'll say this about any of them. I would say this about any of them. To be honest with you, if I'm talking to Arch, not that it matters to the Mannings what I think when you get your first round grade, you leave. Think about Landry Jones. He had a first round grade after his junior year. He was going to go in the top 10. He went 4th round after that. And he didn't have a terrible season. It just wasn't what it could have been. It hurt him. You get the first round grade, you get the fuck out. You got to do it. Hell, Quinn probably would have had a better draft position, I think, if he leaves after last year instead of just after this season. I believe that too. I think when you get the grade, you got to get the hell on. Because it can change. I think back to Eric Winston. He was when I was in Midland, he was from Midland Lee, played with Cedric and them. He was ended up being a left tackle, played a long time in the NFL. He was one of the player reps or like one of the presidents of the player union or one of the bosses, whatever. Anyway, a big bad dude. He played tight end at Midland Lee, but then he went to Miami. He was going to be the number 1 pick, and then he blew his knee out in his junior year. He came back. He was still really good, but he got dropped all the way to like the 5th round. It's a Drew Rosenhaus guy. It doesn't take long. And if you get hurt, it could go bad, right? Do I think that he stays 2 years? He could. He may. He may. Do I think he needs to stay 2 years? I don't know. I think when you get the grade, I am of the belief that you go. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to be that dude that's going to tell you I'm worried about Michael Hawkins. I think Michael can do it all. I think he can do it all. I think that if you're grading him purely on what was going on last year, then you're not paying enough attention to all of it because there's more to it than that. But I think that having Mateer this year, I would wholeheartedly tell you he's what the doctor ordered for this offense, to be that leader, vocal, out there in front, ready to take on, competitive. I think he helps the team more than just being however well he passes the ball, right? So, Derek, yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe. Yeah, and I mean, but then, we've been talking about that in between all this stuff. These guys need to get their money before. That's why I said, if you're asking when all this stuff is going to come down with Bo and Jaden, it's going to be prior to July 1st. because that's when they will put that into place for sure. Now, whether it's going to be lawful or not, I'm going to tell you it won't be forever. But if you have to go by it for a while, you're going to be postponed on your cash. You can get your cash up front. They can do some things. But yeah, chances are next year, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that was sad. Yeah, listen, I said that in I was watching it's funny because I got the other day when I was leaving work, I got a notification and I accidentally hit the button instead of like I was trying to just get away from the notification, but I hit it, I guess. It opens up and I got one of the giveaway memberships to that SEC podcast and they were laughing about it or whatever, but then they started talking about Jackson Arnold and SEC Mike said something about that they had offered that he heard that Auburn had offered sellers $8 million to go there and they were desperate. And I was like, well, I think they're still desperate because they got Jackson. And he laughed about it and stuff like that too. I said they should have given him 10 because they weren't desperate enough. But and no, well, Hawk was under. Here's what happened with Michael Hawkins at Allen that year. Some shit went down with Allen, and it wasn't it. I'll tell you who this was. Who it was about. It was about Chad Morris. Chad was the coach at Allen, and they weren't good. He had a great year. He didn't have it. They also played, that they played one of the best schedules. I mean, their district is insanity anyway, but they had to go up against, I think they played, I know for sure that they played Duncanville and Jackson and them at Geyer. Seems like the other, where did Trey Wisner go again? It's, damn it, I always forget the name of the school for whatever reason, but they've won state championships recently. Anyway, they ended up I think they had a decent year, but it was all on what he could do. And then there was some racial shit that went on and stuff that it didn't get handled very well by Chad. And Chad is I'm not a big Chad Morris guy. Anyway, there's a lot to say. He ended up, when he left and went to Frisco Emerson. Now, Frisco Emerson, a brand new school. They were in their fourth year. That was the first senior class to graduate out of Frisco Emerson. They go all the way to the end, lose in the semifinals in 5A to and it was Division I 5A. So it was to South Oak Cliff, who went on to win their back-to-back championships. And it was a tight game. It went down to the wire. Michael Hawkins shot up the rankings from that season alone because they had him and Malik and a couple of other guys at Emerson but really just him and Malik were the only two major D1 dudes. And he had 55 touchdowns to 3 turnovers for the season. It was insane. So under the radar kind of a little bit, he was. But if you watched him, you know what I'm talking about. He can play. He can play. So and I'm going to tell you, I don't give a shit about those rankings anyway. If you're really dropping Jaden O'Neal with the talent that he has, because they had some of the games forfeited or whatever was going on in that crazy ass California league, that's his fault. He still had 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in those games that they counted. So whatever. It's arbitrary shit that they drop you over. And he's been committed for a damn year. So again, the proof's on the field. What did they do on the field? Right? We saw enough. You should have seen enough bright spots in what Michael Hawkins did against Tennessee, against Auburn, that and then even it damn sure wasn't his fault that they lost the game in the bowl game at all. Once that script was over with, they had a long lull where they didn't do much. They should have blown them out in the first. They were up 2 touchdowns right away. So it is what it is. He made strides. Yeah, he did. Oh, that first run where he took off, he destroyed the angles that those safeties had on him. Destroyed them. Ran right through them. And that throw he made, the 60-yard bomb that went over right into the breadbasket there. Good coverage. That was a freaking dime. He's got everything in the bag. Everything in his bag. Arbuckle reported being really excited about Hawkins growing quite a bit after being a good canvas to begin with. Sounds like good news. Yeah, you're right, Kimberly K. You're right. I would say that. What else would he say? That's your other guy. He better. He better be saying that in case you need him. But I know the Venables and them love him. I know that his teammates all love him for the way he came in. And look, think about how gutsy he played in that Tennessee game. He was left in a bad position, and it shouldn't have been as close as it was, probably. And it was, because he went down there and first time to get real chance to do anything, and he gutted it out. And that was, look, Tennessee had the best defense in the SEC last year. I think it was the best defense. It was definitely the best defensive line. I guess you could argue Texas if you want to, even though they didn't play great offenses. But no, he's not afraid of contact. The spinning flip, all that. Yeah, look, Teddy. I remember Teddy and Gabe whenever I was on my way home from the game, seeing their show, and it was like, man, that you get. Linemen, they love shit like that when they see you go do shit like that. Defensive players love it when they go see you put your body on the line like that to win. That's the kind of stuff that ingratiates you with your teammates. I remember that like it was right there. I got a weird thought. If John does go, will Arbuckle want him to be our guy, Hawk to be our guy next year? Kind of like the O'Neal situation. Not his guy kind of worries me. I think you have to think about that. I think you have to be concerned about that. I think that's why we're probably hearing rumbles about he may leave if Mateer comes back. But I don't know. I think that in that case, that what we do know is that I'm under the impression now that Venables knows that they're not real happy in the O'Neal camp about the way it's been handled, right? I know that he knows because Bates was there, Emmett was there. They're not, they know. He knows. So, but the one thing we know is Brent Venables was talking about Michael Hawkins from spring on, that he expected that they were going to need him. They wanted to use him in situationally. That was the expectation, right? So, and he had no plans of going back to Jackson, I don't think, until when the losses piled up. When you lose the Red River and then you lose a home game to South Carolina, and it wasn't pretty. Now, again, I would tell you that game plan, it was more to blame for that than what you can blame Michael if you're a half-ass, casual. But if you don't know that game plan was trash, then what are you watching? If Mateer is good enough to go, we will be set at quarterback for a while. Yeah, I agree. And again, remember that whatever happens, and again, I really wish that we were going to get Jaden O'Neal. I think if you get Bo Bentley, he's going to be good. He's going to be good. He's going to be good, I think. I like the guy as a quarterback. But I'll just say, nothing is set in stone in college football these days with these quarterbacks. Did you think that Carson Beck was leaving? I didn't. You know what I mean? How many quarterbacks in the country right now are at the same place they were before? John Mateer. Just think about it. It is what it is. But you gotta go out there and have some success. I think it's important to go out there and be successful this year, or it could hurt you in it, because you can't have 2 bad years in a row at Oklahoma, for fuck's sake. Can't do it. Cannot do it. That defense was too good to waste last year, and it got wasted. It got wasted. It sucks for, Billy and Danny and Ethan and those guys. Yeah. That transfer from Mercer and the freshmen as well. Yeah, I agree. I agree. We'll see what happens, man. All right, guys, we've been going for a while, hour and a half. I gotta get out of here. I appreciate everybody coming in and talking about this. Look, I think you got a dude, man. You got a dude. That's exactly what these guys were saying. Both of them. They get paid to do the evaluations from colleges. They pay attention to their evaluations. The NFL pays attention to their evaluations. These guys know what the hell they're doing. They got love for them. They nitpick everybody, and they nitpicked Arch Manning as well. That bullshit dumbass was in here saying. They nitpick them all. But in the end, they're overarching. They liked them. They liked them. And we all like them, and everybody else has been saying they like them except for Texas fans. And whatever. Let them say it. We'll see what you say on October 12th after the 11th. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody coming in. Make sure, hey, check out our sponsors, man. It helps us. It helps us, and you can help yourself for sure. I know some of you guys are gamblers. Check out my bookie. Make sure you hit that like button. We've had a lot of people in here watching so far. Man, we've had 500 people in here. We got 37 likes. We've got 50 people in here right now on YouTube and 37 likes. Hit the fucking like button. Let's go. Hit the like button. Appreciate it. See you all on the next one. Hey, Jason Watkins here with Hall of Fame College Football. And if you are ready to back your favorite team, the Sooners, and fade that Texas hype train every Saturday this fall, there's only one place to do it, my bookie. Right now, you can double your first deposit up to $1,000 when you sign up at hofmedia.us/mybookie1000. That's hofmedia.us/mybookie1000. Yep, 100% deposit bonus, and it takes less than 5 minutes to get started. Whether you're betting college football, rolling the dice in the online casino, or dropping a 10-leg parlay on SEC Chaos, MyBookie has everything you need. Bet anytime, anywhere, on the go, at the tailgate, or yelling at the refs from your couch. Just don't talk trash. Put your money where your mouth is. Hit that link, hofmedia.us/mybookie1000, and get your deposit bonus today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie and Hall of Fame College Football.